And we're back with the 6th congressional debate between Richard Tse and Seth Moulton.
And the candidates now have an opportunity to question one another. We're going to start with you, Mr. Tse. Can you ask a question, Mr. Moulton?
Yeah, I would just say with campaign finance, 70% of the money that I've raised has been from Massachusetts and people who live in this district, as opposed to you, Seth. 70% of the money that you've raised has come from out of state. You've raised more money in Beverly Hills than you've raised in Beverly, Massachusetts, more money in San Francisco than 3/4 of the communities in this district. But most importantly, you've raised almost $500,000 in Wall Street from bankers, venture capitalists. You know, I'm just wondering, what is it about Wall Street? You were there once this week, twice last week, twice the week before. Why are they so interested in your campaign? Why would somebody in Wall Street just take this interest in the 6th district?
I think it's a fairly hypocritical question, because your campaign has benefited from over $1 million from a PAC that is funded by a hedge fund billionaire on Wall Street. We all know, Senator Tse, that you've been to Miami, to Washington, D.C., to New York to raise money. The fact of the matter is, I'm not beholden to any donors. Maybe that's the approach you take to fundraising, but I will vote on my conscience. And if you look at if you look at this race, what voters really want to talk about is not just where we're getting the support from across the country, but what we're going to do. I'm proud to have the support from people across the country, many veterans I served with, people I know from school. I'm proud to have national support because people realize that this is an important race. But it's pretty hypocritical to attack me for $500,000 in Wall Street money.
70% of the money I've raised.
If you've taken $1 million from a single hedge fund billionaire on Wall Street.
That isn't true. I am from Massachusetts. I've worked on Main Street. I live on Main Street. The people who are supporting my candidacy are people who have a vested interest. They're people in Gloucester who want to see the fishing industry improve. They're people in Peabody that are having a hard time with the economy. They're people in Newburyport. You know, and I think it is important. They're the stakeholders in this district. And I do think, you know, I'm a big proponent of campaign finance reform.
It's interesting if you're a proponent, because the leading campaign finance reform group, headed by Larry Lessig, had an opportunity to endorse in this race, and they just endorsed me.
I don't know who you're talking about, Seth, but
well, then you must not know much about campaign finance reform, because he is the leader of this effort, and he just endorsed my campaign.
Hold on for a second. Let him respond.
No, I just think that the stakeholders, you know, I've lived here all my life. I live on Main Street. I work on Main Street. The people who are most familiar with this district are people who are supporting me. They know me. I've represented them before. I own a small business in the district, and I'll be a great congressman for the people of the district.
Seth, if you have something to respond to, fine. If not, a question for Mr. Tse.
Absolutely. I have support from all over this district. I have support from people who are struggling on Main Street. I have support from people like Alice, who called up my campaign because she nearly had to leave her apartment because when the Republicans in Washington shut down the government, she didn't get her Social Security check, and she couldn't pay her rent. I've got support from people like...
I don't think Social Security checks, when the government was shut down, Social Security checks did go out in the mail, Seth. I might be wrong,
you should speak with Alice, because she's struggling. She's struggling because the Republican majority in Washington that you want to go to support...
Your question for Mr. Tse is what, Seth?
Senator Tse, you have said that you will go to Washington to be a moderating influence on your party. Please name 2 Republicans that you will influence and change their mind, and the 2 issues that you would change their minds on.
Well, I don't, know whose mind I'm going to change until I'm there, but I would say that Representative Dent from Pennsylvania and Representative Hanna from New York are people that I'm in sync with, and we agree on a lot of the issues. The issues I'd like to change the party's mind on are marriage equality, and that's already starting to happen. You see more and more people coming out. And I'd like to change the party's position on the very fact that a woman should be able to make healthcare decisions between a woman and her doctor. And those are things that I have been talking about for years. You know, when I served in the state Senate...
Senator Tse, you have been talking about those things for years.
I voted with
but as the leader of your party in Massachusetts, you weren't able to make that change.
No,
you were the leader of the Republican Party in Massachusetts.
Seth, you made your point. Let him respond.
I am my own person, always have been. When Governor Romney was in office, I voted with him 50% of the time. I voted against him 50% of the time.
Let's talk about some of those votes.
Hold on for a second.
I looked at every issue that came up and tried to make the decision based on what was best for the people of the district. The problem in Washington is that you have Democrats Democrats and Republicans voting. They love their party more than they love their country.
All right, Seth,
And
you have...
I'll put America
You have
first.
something you'd like to say to that?
The problem in Washington is that we have a Republican majority that's controlled by the far right and has shut down our government. It is cutting veterans' benefits. It is cutting women's rights. It's fighting against gay rights. That is the Republican majority that if you go to Washington, you will just support. Because the reality, Senator Tisei, is that even here in Massachusetts, where you were the head of your party, you've been an elected career Republican politician since the 1980s, and yet you haven't been able to change your party's position on gay marriage, on women's rights. In 2014,
I'm sorry,
the Republican
Seth.
Party convention passed planks against it.
Richard, he made some shots
And
in
I
there.
wasn't
Go
afraid
ahead.
to stand up. I haven't been afraid to stand up to my own party. I haven't been afraid to stand up to the opposing party. You know, I am my own person, and I lead by example. And I didn't go to the convention because I thought it would be an important statement to make, that they had changed the platform, and I didn't agree with it. So I spoke out about that. You know, and that's what I'll do in Washington. I have no problem looking John Boehner in the eye or anybody in the eye and saying no. That's
But the
what I did.
reality is you said
That's
that
what
your
I did.
first vote
That's
in
what I
Washington...
did in the
Let him
legislature.
finish, Seth. That's what you
know
did in the legislature?
Well, here's the thing, Seth. My first vote in Washington, and you're going to vote to elect Nancy Pelosi.
No, I've said on this show that I wouldn't necessarily vote for Nancy Pelosi, but you have said very clearly that you'll go to Washington and
you
vote
ran
for
right
John
down
Boehner.
to Washington
You'll
the
go
minute
to
the
vote for
primary
John
was
Boehner and the
over
Republican
to see
majority.
Nancy Pelosi. I will be an effective congressman for this state. I will be a member of the majority party. I will be there when decisions are being made
Richard?
at the table, putting Massachusetts interests front and center rather than on the back burner.
Seth, please give me final word in this segment. Go.
The reality is that if you're at the table, it doesn't matter if they're not listening to you. The
You know-
Republicans in Massachusetts of your own party that you led wouldn't listen to you.
You know what? When the
So your
Magnuson-
argument is that you're going to
when the
change the
Magnuson
debate.
Stevens
Richard?
bill-
The reality
when
is that we
Magnuson
need someone
Stevens-
who's going to
when
fight
the
us,
Magnuson
who's going to
Stevens
fight.
bill
Richard,
for fishermen is reauthorized,
Richard,
I will
one
be
at-
at the table
one at a time.
and making a difference in trying
The reality
to
is
fix
we
those
need to send
fishing
someone
regulations.
who's going to fight for the party that's right on the issues, who's going to stand up
Yeah.
to the Republican majority that's trying to shut down our government, that's trying to cut women's benefits, that's trying to fight against women's
don't-
rights. We
Seth,
can't support the wrong
We don't want,
party on the issue.
folks, we don't want you to miss a single word from this. We have to take a break, so don't go away. OTR continues. Just a
We'll go
minute.
back to that.